is it going, guys? Drew Peacock here, back with another video, and today we are further getting the Mustang ready for Texas 2K, and we're actually going to take it out tonight and test it. I'm going to bring the draggy so we can see how it was months ago to how it is now. Hopefully the stuff we have done has made some really big changes. If you haven't seen the last video, we cleaned the whole fuel system. I changed out the spark plugs. We also installed a new fluid dampener from Fluid Dampener, of course, and that weighs 5 pounds less, so that's just big rotational mass, not hanging off the front anymore. That's going to be really nice. We also changed the tire setup in the rear. We went with a shorter tire, so we're on a 325/50 instead of a 315/60, which should give us a better, more aggressive gear ratio, a lot more low-end torque, which might not help us hook, but we're gonna have to go out and see tonight. Also did a couple other little small changes, like some custom hub-centric spacers for the rear, and I built my own little custom air intake duct. So we've done some things. You can see it right there. Snakes air from the front grille, and it goes into there. You can't even tell unless you're literally crouching down, but yes. However, it doesn't stop there. There are still a few more things we can do to make this thing just a little bit faster. Now, I don't like just throwing money at my car and just adding horsepower and just making it faster that way. I like using science and physics. So what does that mean? Essentially, today we're going to look at how we can make the car more aerodynamic, reduce drag, and maybe even increase downforce in the rear. Because let's keep it a buck here. This isn't the most aerodynamic car in the world, so if we can help the car cut through air a lot faster, and we can help downforce in the rear to where maybe we don't need to run a bunch of sandbags, well, then that might just be the ultimate formula to make this thing fast. Because yeah, like we could keep dumping money into this car and just keep turning up the power, but that does no good if we still have this huge drag, this huge air resistance when we drive the car. So there's a couple things we can do, and let me explain. First things first, this is a popular mod that a lot of circuit racers or road course racers do. Essentially, your tires aren't supposed to stick out like that. So what they will do is they will build a little flap and make it so it just blocks your tire. So essentially, instead of the air going in and getting pushed into here, because this is a negative pressure area, instead, the air is gonna come and get pushed out and keep going around. This is very popular on high performance cars. We're talking track oriented cars. I bet you, without even looking, the GT3 RS has some form of this. It might be hard to see, but you could see the GT3 RS, it has the same exact thing. And all that's supposed to do is reduce drag and just not let air in areas where it's not supposed to go, like into your wheel. So I plan on installing some of those. I have to make them from scratch, obviously, and same with the rears. It's the same story. Essentially, air would come in and get pushed into this little nook and cranny. We don't want that. We want the air to go and travel along the outside of the vehicle and just keep flowing around it. So this right here is a quick and easy thing you guys can do. We need cardboard and whatever material you're gonna make them out of. I have a lot of just aluminum sheets. So I'm gonna make mine out of aluminum and just spray them in bed liner. But you could do this with plastic and it'll work just as well. I also want to make sure all of my vents that don't need to be open are blocked off. So the bumper has a couple that we could block off, and that will just help air not get under the vehicle, because we want to limit air going underneath the vehicle, and that will help decrease air resistance and all that. So let's get to it. All right, I got the cars swapped out. We're gonna go ahead and find some cardboard and start mocking it up. I feel like the flaps will be pretty easy, but there's some other stuff I wanna handle too. This legit took less than a minute. I mean, it was the easiest thing ever. And essentially, you'll get a good idea of this right now. Let me go ahead, show you guys. Boom, just like that. And so if you look, if I hold it up just right, you can see the tire disappears. And so that should push all of the air around it and yeah, help us reduce drag. Now we gotta cut it out of metal and make it pretty. And if you still think I'm stupid, I looked over at my Corvette and it literally has them from factory. Like, maybe not the front. Nope, even the fronts. Even the fronts have them from factory. See how it blocks the tire? That just goes to show, this should actually work. Couple 10 millimeters, and that bitch is mounted. Look at that. That's all it takes, a couple 10 millimeters. I'm gonna do the other side and then we'll put the car back on the ground and we can see just how good it looks. All right, guys, fronts are just about ready for paint. Take a look at that. So I actually recessed it a little bit just so it's not protruding past the tire. You can see the tire does stick out further. And same with this side. I do have to make them a little bit more even because this one tucks in a little earlier up here. It might be because of the bumper or the fenders lining up, but this side sticks out a little bit further. So I also went ahead and slotted them. I don't know if you guys can see that, probably not. But this way I can essentially adjust them. I could loosen the bolt, pull them out, or put them further in. So this is the furthest in setting, and I think it looks pretty good. It's not too crazy. And once they're painted black, they're gonna look clean. Like you're not even gonna notice them. So yeah, so far I'd say this is going real well. Now we gotta do the rears. All right, I got the front wind deflectors painting and drying right now. I also went ahead and made block-off plates for this lower grill area. There's no point that this needs to be here, so now the air will come in here, go out, and then just get pushed out around the wheels. So did that on both sides. Looks sleek. I'm not gonna paint those because you can't even see them anyways, and they honestly look wrap matched, so I'll just leave them. If it looks like I'm crying, I got metal in my eye and it was painful, but I got it out, so we're good there. Wear your safety goggles. I'm gonna start working on the rear ones, and I'm debating on kind of mimicking a little skirt at the bottom, because if we have it deflect wind, it might just push down underneath the tires, and I really want it to push out, so I might build a little triangle. We'll have to see. All right, so I got the first rear one mocked up. I don't think I'm gonna paint it because I'm not too happy with it. I might redo it a little bit. I'm not happy with how it bolts up. I don't think any of this is gonna rub, but I'm a little nervous about this one up here. It needs this one though, or else this is just way too floppy. And since I trimmed all in here, there's just really no contact, like there's no room in there to really mount the bolt. So this is what's gonna have to work for now. It is sturdy, like it is really sturdy, and I didn't have it poke out further than the tire, so it should just help deflect it. I think it's still gonna work. The fronts are still drying over there, and I'm gonna work on the other side right now, and then we can go out and test it. I mean, they look pretty good. At the very least, they look pretty cool. Like looking at the one on the rear right there, it looks pretty dope, and I kind of like how it's raw. It's hard to see with the wide lens, but it looks pretty sick right there. So it won't stay raw. Maybe I will pull it off in a couple minutes and paint it. I just don't know how much bed liner I have left, so that's the only thing that's on the fence right now. But this little aero mod should help out the car a little bit. Who knows how much? For all we know, this thing's gonna pick up some crazy time. But I don't know, we'll have to see tonight when I take out the draggy. All right, here's the finished result. We got the fronts on, looking real sleek, real low key. And then if we go towards the back, we have the rears on as well. I think the fronts came out a bit better. The rears I'm not done with. I didn't spray them with bed liner, so the fronts have a much more natural, like satin look to them, where the rears look semi-gloss because that's what I sprayed them with. And I much prefer the bed liner look, so we'll go out tonight, test them. I'm actually changing the trans fluid right now, and I need to go to the auto parts store to get some new fluid. So after I put in the trans fluid, we will be ready to rock and see if all of my work has paid off. What speed are we at?
60. 62, 61, 60, 59, 58, 140, 137.
What was our 60 to 130?
6.62.
That's slow. That's slow. We did spin. I feel like it tapers off up top. Do you think that could just be the 410s?
I don't know. I was just paying attention to the videos. I wasn't really like feeling it. Definitely spun like a motherfucker though.
Okay. I just feel like it tapers off up top too much.
I mean, you know it.
But again, I don't know. Maybe I'm just used to the Vet, where the Vet just pulls.
That does have the McLaren feel to it.
Yeah, where it just pulls to it.
And then you grab another higher gear and it goes more, and then it's
yeah.
like, what the fuck? Like it never stops.
Dude, because 6s are slow. I feel like my fastest one before was like a 5.6 or something. I don't know. So that seems suspiciously slow to me. Do you think right here? What are we at?
55, 54.
You're recording?
55, yep.
Let me know when we're under 60.
60.
Yeah, it was pulling like hard. we hooked too. Something's not right.
Yeah, it did feel like it hooked. Well, the boost gauge will be in that.
That clip?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we won't try anymore just in case it is fuel. Yeah, because like I'm also not revving it out like as far as I think I can. Like I'm cutting it at like 75.
That sounds like it's slow, yeah.
But it can go to 8. But I feel like it's tapering off up top.
So it doesn't make sense to keep going.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I'm saying.
You're just making noise and risking more, yeah. I don't like revving shit out when it ain't making power. It's stupid.
Yeah, like can you feel it up top? Like when it starts to taper?
I kind of can sense it a little bit, but you're more in tune with what your foot's doing, what you're feeling. You know the car better. I'm starting to pick up what you're.
I mean, maybe the drag on it is that bad to where up top, but why would it be worse now than before?
Don't know.
Like that doesn't make sense. Fuck. 6.5. Yeah, like dude, that's like a whole second slower. Well, guys, it's the next day. Needless to say, I'm not happy. I didn't even feel like filming when I got home. I was just like thinking, my mind was racing at like 100 miles per hour at what could be causing this issue. And let me explain what I think is the issue. So before you say that I just can't drive, I have proof that there is an issue, and I will show you the proof in a second. But essentially, we cleaned the whole fuel system, we replaced the spark plugs, we cleaned the intake, and an engine needs air, fuel, and spark. So that's all good except for the fuel pumps. I have not ever touched the fuel pumps, and I think it is the fuel pumps, and there's a couple signs pointing towards it. Number one, my fuel pump wires are pretty warm. Usually, like after driving, they're pretty warm to the touch. A little bit of warmness is expected, but they're pretty warm. And on that note, my car has also been having fuel relay shutoffs and stuff. So I think the wiring is getting a little too warm. And what can cause that is a tired fuel pump that is drawing too much amps and is just overworking the wiring. So number one, I think it could be fuel pumps for that alone. Number two, we have to take a look at the graphs that are displayed on Draggy. This is my old graph from the 595 I ran probably a year or so ago. And as you can see, the acceleration, which is the orange bar, is pretty parallel to everything else. It's pretty flat. Obviously, it starts to taper off as you keep pushing because, well, that's just how cars work. You can't carry the same amount of speed in fifth as you can in third. So as you start to get up into higher speeds, your acceleration starts to slow down. Now let's look at the graph from last night. If you look at this photo, you can see that it immediately is tapering off in third gear, which makes no sense. And no, the little aero flaps that I didn't cause that. That's first of all, these aren't going to cause that much drag. If at all, they're going to help drag. But this is an issue that I could feel before I did any of the aero, before I put a Draggy in the car. I've been feeling this issue for a couple weeks, and I thought after I changed the spark plugs, that would solve it. But you can clearly see that the acceleration isn't as good. And before you say, well, maybe you just didn't hook up as good. Well, a couple things to that as well. First of all, you can see my 60 to 70, my 60 to 80, and my 60 to 90 times on yesterday's run were faster than the 5.95. So we were a trajectory, our projection was going to be faster than the previous 5.9 run. So it's not a traction issue because we're leaving harder than ever. This thing is hooking harder and getting out of 60 harder than ever. So that is promising. It's just once we get up to like 100 miles an hour or so that it just starts to taper off rapidly. So yes, it could be some sort of air drag issue. Again, I can't fathom how that would be possible. With all of the things that I did, I can't fathom that the car would be faster with giant holes all over the front, allowing air to get trapped. I can't imagine that air getting trapped there would be faster. I can't imagine that any of that makes sense. So I don't think it's an air issue. I full-heartedly think it is a fuel issue, and we're gonna find out tonight. Now, it probably won't be in this video because this video is probably long enough already, but I'm gonna take the car to a dyno tonight. We're gonna strap it up, see what it does. I don't care about the horsepower number. I know the horsepower number will be lower because it is a hub dyno. So it's probably gonna read maybe high sevens, maybe low eights with the fuel cutting issue or the fuel pressure issue that I am expecting to see. But I just wanna see the graph. And if the graph looks good and it just keeps going and it just keeps climbing, then it's some sort of air issue. It's some sort of chassis issue that just isn't making sense. But if you start to see the graph taper off, then you know, okay, there's some sort of issue. And we can also visualize my fuel pressure gauge, which is in the engine bay. I mean, I could strap a GoPro under here and go do some test hits, but that's not really ideal. I'd rather just do it in an enclosed setting and just visualize it, and we can see everything on the dyno. So that's the plan. I'm not super happy. I expected the car to run mid to low fives with everything I did. I just can't fathom a lighter crank hub, the fucking ghetto intake that I built, all of the aero that I did, the smaller wheels, everything I did, I cannot fathom would make the car slower. It just makes no sense. So there has to be an issue. I'm betting fuel. We'll find out in the next video. And if we don't figure this out, I don't see the purpose of taking the car to Texas if it has an issue, because if it is a fuel issue, the last thing I want to do is go blow up my car in Texas. So we'll find out tonight. That will be in the next video. Anyways, comment your thoughts down below. What do you guys think it is? I already have my bets, but you know, go ahead, comment your thoughts. And until next video, peace. Oh, and just to confirm that the car is slower, another way to confirm, the draggy times for the McLaren were faster by like a quarter of a second, sometimes half a second. That just goes to show that this thing is definitely slower for some reason. We don't know why. So that also confirms it, because this thing would beat the McLaren 9 times out of 10. That makes no sense.